Hello everybody, my name is Safi and welcome to Overcoming the Diet Mindset podcast. I am 7 years post-op and a trainee psychotherapist. On this podcast, my aim is to vanish crappy, fad dieting and unhelpful thinking, to reclaim our mindset with a little rewiring so we can stop yo-yo dieting and get off the roller coaster for once and for all. Hello everybody, welcome to this week's podcast. This week I'm really excited to have a lovely lady that I met within the bariatric community. We're going to have a great conversation about psychological support, pre and post bariatric surgery. Jenny, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. And then, so hopefully you will have a lot of information and nuggets that you can implement on your journey. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, Jenny. Thank you for joining me. Would you like to tell us a bit about you?
Certainly. So my name is Jenny, surname's Kerbash. I am currently 17 months post gastric sleeve operation. And so far I have lost 10 stone 5 pounds, which is fab. Yeah, amazing. So that's just fantastic. I have about just over 2 stone left to go. A lot slower now, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, great. But well, to just give you a bit of background about me, how far back do you want me to go? Do you want me to...
As far as you want to go, okay. where you had the surgery, because we all have it in different places.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that. What's, before you had the surgery, what process did you go through?
Yeah.
And what's your history with weight and how long have you been struggling with it?
Okay, perfect. So I have been overweight from childhood. I would say, again, not diagnosed, but at my best guess, I would say I developed binge eating disorder probably in my late teens. That's when my massive weight fluctuations started. I would say at my best estimate, I have lost and regained in excess of 30 stone, possibly more in my lifetime. Now, again, that's an estimate, but just going on periods where I look and say I was that weight and then I was that weight. So huge yo-yo dieting from me, absolutely massive fluctuations in weight. So just really, really a lifelong struggle. There's something that I say to people, and hopefully people can identify with this. I've never maintained a weight ever. There's not been 1 year where I started a year a weight and ended a year a weight with, and I'm not talking 5 or 6 pounds, I'm talking stones. So I was either constantly gaining or losing. When I was losing, it was a bit better, but it was either one or the other. So just a lifelong battle is the only way I can describe it. Just horrible when you look back. So to go a bit more recently then, my latest sort of massive weight gain happened around 2019. So at the end of 2018, I had found a lump in my throat. I went to the GP and the GP said to me, I'm really concerned about that. It's on your thyroid. That could be cancer. And then the next morning, I had quite a bad car crash. So literally just 2 hugely sort of traumatic things happened within 2 days. And the next 2 or 3 years were just awful as a result of that. So it was a good news story, but 6 months later and surgery to lose half my thyroid, I was given the all clear. It wasn't cancer, but again, just a hugely traumatic period. So so I got the all clear in the May. I got married in the August. And then as soon as I had the opportunity to take my finger off the button a bit, I got married in August and I had gained nearly 4 stone by Christmas from August. And then over the next sort of year or so, I gained another 3. So I gained 7 stone after I got married. And that's when I hit my highest weight. With that crippling depression, not wanting to leave the house, getting tension headaches. I was grinding my teeth. My teeth were breaking. Such a confusing time for me because, I just got married. I'd met the love of my life when I was 36. I was so happy in my personal life, but just couldn't understand why I felt the way I felt. So anyway, so the process for surgery, I saw an ad for the company that I went with. So I went to Turkey. I saw an ad for the company that I went with. Girls with just amazing transformations. And it's something I'd touched on before, but never really thought of as being an option. And when I saw these transformations, I thought, oh my goodness, could this be it? Because, you know, again, binge eating is one side of it. I've had a lot of metabolic issues from my life's yo-yoing. And I knew that I would have to restrict my portions to a size that I didn't feel that I could myself. So to me, surgery just seemed like the answer. So I went to Turkey. I had a gastric sleeve. I packed up and went on Boxing Day 2021. So I had my Christmas dinner. That was my last meal. Went on Boxing Day to Turkey and had my surgery on the 27th of December.
Wow.
So that takes us up to the surgery. So that was an amazing experience. Incredible experience. Amazing care like I'd never received in my life. And so that's kind of how I got to surgery. So
wow. So you definitely you went through quite a lot in a small period of time. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So like me, I went abroad. I had zero aftercare. What was aftercare for you like?
Yeah, same. Yeah, none. There wasn't any sign posted, so I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, there was none, and very, very little, I suppose, psychologically before. I think in hindsight, there maybe should have been some questions or some signposting about being in the right sort of headspace for doing the surgery. I thankfully was, but again, I'm talking here about what I'm seeing online now of people, you know. I actually heard a story of someone that I know went and got surgery, and I heard a story about a young girl of 20 or 21 crying the day after the surgery, called the surgeon in and asked could they reattach her stomach. And I think that's really the proof there that, you know, that's it is quite irresponsible to a degree. Now, for me, it was fine. I definitely was in the right space. But yeah, I think that's certainly something that you need to think about when going abroad. There's not that support.
I think they could definitely do a bit of just signposting people or just telling you, okay, we recommend that you go and find yourself a therapist or a dietitian, or a support group. It wouldn't take a lot to just have that on a leaflet. And I think it would just be the ethical thing to do. But it's definitely a thing that happens in every, you know, from everything that I see. When you do go abroad, it is very much seems to be the norm. So you say that you were in a good headspace, and then this comes, if you can touch a little bit about what you did before and how I came across you with your wonderful YouTube series that you're currently doing. Do you want to tell us a bit about your CBT and your past and try, you know, share how you understand the importance of psychological interventions?
Sure, absolutely. So again, to say this out loud after what I've told you about my past feels ludicrous, but I actually, without naming the name of the company, I actually trained as an obesity counsellor during one of the periods where I'd lost a huge amount of weight, where I was going to stay there forever. This was it. I'd done the work. Everything was fine. I was going to stay there forever. Small print, started regaining again very, very quickly. But in the midst of that, I had trained as an obesity counsellor. I did quite a lot on CBT, quite a lot on transactional analysis, and a bit on neuro-linguistic programming, all of which I really, really enjoyed and kind of kept up as a hobby. So that would have been about 2008. Now, needless to say, my issues weren't resolved then, and devastatingly to me, I realised that wasn't the right field for me. I how could I support anyone else when I was, immediately regaining and struggling? I wanted to do it, but I wasn't in the right headspace. So that journey ended very quickly. I think probably I stopped counselling maybe in 2011. I did sort of 2 or 3 years, and for my own peace of mind, I had to sort of shelve that. So I do have a bit of a counselling background, a real lifelong passion for it. I think when you learn those techniques, certainly for me, it didn't help with my weight. It did help me understand relationships a lot better. It did help me understand. I was in management. It helped me be a better manager. It didn't help me with my weight, unfortunately. But post-operation, the first 6 or 7 months to me were an absolute breeze. Now, and we've talked a bit about this, about protein and, all the focuses that people put on after surgery. I didn't really buy into that. I bought into trying to find myself some sort of moderation in my eating. That was my aim. I felt like I could become obsessed with trying to get protein in, and I wanted to just regulate what I was eating. Yes, get protein in, yes, get water in, but I was never obsessed by that. So I had a really balanced diet for the first 7 months, pretty much what I wanted. If I wanted a little treat, I had it. I was eating really healthily, salads, vegetables, really varied, amazing diet. And then my sister got married and I was bridesmaid. So obviously I had lost this huge amount of weight the first 7 months of the year. I felt great at the wedding. And then after the wedding, my weight loss stopped. So I think I was about maybe 7 or 8 stone down at that point. And the weight loss just stopped for a few weeks. And it was just devastating time for me because it had been effortless. It had been, I ate what I want and my sleeve's amazing. And yes, I keep a bit of an eye on it, but it was effortless. And then after that point, after the wedding, I had to take this step back and go, do you know what? Actually, there's something else going on here. This can't be about the food. My sleeve suddenly hasn't stopped working. And that's actually how I sort of devised this little program that I've put onto YouTube, because for me, and again, as I've shared this program, I'm not saying it's the right way for everyone, but for me, it was about having that goal. I feel was what made it feel all very effortless for me. And my goal was to fit in my bridesmaid's dress and look good on the day of the wedding and not feel like, I was going to look horrific beside my sister. And I achieved that goal. So my bridesmaid's dress fitted, it was comfortable. I got lots of compliments. It was an amazing day. And I think in hindsight then I went, well, what now? What's the goal now? What keeps me focused? And when I reassessed how I had been eating, old habits had started to creep back in. Like literally from days after the wedding, I'd started eating, a bit more than I would have, once I'd, you get very full when you've got to sleep, but once that had passed, I was maybe eating something else that I wouldn't have. Yeah, so for me, it really, really was. I knew immediately that I didn't need to up my protein or I didn't need for somebody to tell me what their eating plan was. I knew it was in my head. I knew there was something bigger going on.
Yeah, and not to do a reset. Just do a reset.
Just do a reset. Yeah. Go back to your pouch reset. Yeah.
Exactly. I just wanted to make a little disclaimer there that it was, obviously you don't want to name anybody, but it was more to do, I want to say it wasn't to do with the skills or the counseling. It was more to do what the combination of what you were asked to eat along with it. That's what you felt that didn't work.
Yeah.
So if you're applying the skills that you learn with a healthy approach, it would have been a different outcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, fantastic. And I definitely understand. It's just, we're never going to be, I think just before we press record, we were talking about the fact that we're just in remission. Like anybody who suffers, with any other addiction. And I know people have different opinions about if food is, but chemical food, I definitely think it has an impact on your brain, and it has been found to have impact on your brain chemistry. So it's so easy to go back into that place. And the minute you take your eye off the ball or you're stressed or something's going on, it's so easy to go back to that. And then, default setting is, what do I do now? How do I restrict, right? Like, what do I... What's the most severe way?
Absolutely. Do you know, I did a little bit on this, as I was saying to you. I mean, I would say I'm definitely in recovery from binge eating. I am in the best headspace that I've ever been around food, which is just the most amazing. That's like saying I've won the lottery, like I am in the most peaceful state that I've ever been. But I did hit a wee brick wall, as I said to you, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I can't really pinpoint what it was, but I just took the finger off the pulse for a couple of weeks and ate a bit more and didn't exercise and regained 7 pounds. And then just eventually went, what am I doing? And I talked about sort of this being my new normal. And I sat down and I went, right, okay, I'm sitting here and I'm panicking about this. It's like in my mind, I'm back to square one. I think that's a massive part of the mindset of somebody who is obese or someone who has suffered from binge eating, is to default straight to those huge statements, those huge thoughts of failure. I'm back to square one. I'm failing. Oh, I always do this. Shame, guilt. And I had actually sat and thought to myself, oh, I hate this. And then I thought, you know what? As much as I hate it, there was a little bit of comfort in that. Okay. So, and again, we talk about being comfortable and uncomfortable. So people look at really overweight people and they see the physicality of it and they say, oh, they must be so uncomfortable. But if we think about how we are as people and what our comfort zones are, to sit there and go, right, this is it. This is the moment I'm feeling. I have 7 pounds on. This is the moment in this journey where this is going wrong, because I always do this. I always fail. That's my comfort zone. I've spent my life there. I haven't spent my life going, this is working. So to sit and go, I'm in a great headspace, this is working, that is not my comfort zone. I nearly feel like I'm lying to you when I say that. That's a place of great discomfort for me, because I've spent a lifetime the other way. And I think to sit down and acknowledge that and go, right, no, okay, let's look at the evidence here. I'm not lying. That 2 weeks is done, but I have a new normal now, and I'm going to get back to my new normal. And that worked, it's mind blowing. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I lost the 7 pounds again. And I went, oh my goodness, okay. And it still blows my mind. And I think I'm still going to have these moments, in the months and years to come. But it's like, I think we know we're changing, we see our bodies changing, but sometimes when something like that happens, it's like the huger success, it's where you go, oh my goodness, I have implemented real change here, to actually look at that, see what went wrong, tone the feelings down, tone the thoughts down, and the behavior changed. Just like, go me,
Amazing. And I think as soon as you learn that, you're almost halfway there, because we go from a place of, oh my goodness me, I've now messed up. Your old brain kicks into trying to protect you because you're freaking out. Oh, what does it try to protect you to do? Because you've always done is eat to soothe yourself. It's a vicious cycle. But the minute you were able to almost look from an outsider and, just get out of it for a minute and think, oh, this is okay, and I implement something and it worked. And now you're building up that evidence. And each time you do that, right, it's going to be the quicker that you get out of that situation, the quicker that you bounce back, the more and more evidence you will have, and the easier you will get. And that's why I hope anybody listening to this podcast today takes away from even one little thing, is that it's a process and it's going to feel uncomfortable, even sometimes too simple. But just allow yourself, because you're stronger than your body's really, really smart. work with it, work with your mindset, and you will get there. You will get that long-term success. And be okay with the fact that we're going to fluctuate. We're humans. We're going to have all these different life as women.
Yeah.
You have pregnancy, menopause, all sorts of things that are going to impact our weight. So I think that if we start to look at it from a place of, okay, we're not going to catastrophize it, or we're not going to tell each other, you must now go back to just drinking water or any of those ridiculous. I'm exaggerating, but some of the comments are not far off. Yeah, advising each other to starve, basically.
100, and just to pick up on that point, this is probably the first time in my life where I've had a 7-point gain like that. First of all, to stop at that point and not escalate to a stone or more, but also to rectify that without going to extreme starvation measures. So carb cutting, diet shakes, pouch reefs, any of those things. This is the first time where I went, and again, this term, I keep using it, but for me, it was like an epiphany, this new normal. It was like, right, that's not what I do. I was eating, all the sliders and, drinking more wine than I should and stuff. And I just went, no, that's not, here's my new normal. I'm going to get back to that. I'm not going to say, I have coleslaw in my salad every day. I'm not going to cut that out. I'm not going to, I'm just going to go back to my new normal. And that worked. And it is mind blowing to me, because I have so many years of what you've just talked about there.
Yeah.
So
of
many
disordered eating.
Yeah.
And society has lied to us, and it's going to be really hard to get ourselves in a place where we don't see ourselves as the cause of, where in a place of self-blame, because society said it's a personal choice. You are greedy. You can't be bothered to move, and that's why you are the way you are. And a lot of people make a lot of money from that. The diet industry, the food industry. There's a lot of people who actually will, benefit from us not knowing this.
Yeah, exactly. And even the theory of all or nothing, I mean, it's such a huge thing for me. And I think a lot of obese people, it's, and actually the more I look now, I'm quite like this in the rest of my life as well. I'm either tearing the house apart, cleaning everything, or I'm lying looking going, yeah, I really should run the Hoover round. I'm a very all or nothing person. But I think you're right. I think the diet industry has so capitalized on that, because you're either on plan or off plan, and my husband showed me something the other day. He's doing a sort of a bit of a healthy lifestyle kick as well. And he showed me something about, one of the diet brands classifying an avocado as a really bad thing. And, using a points or a sin system or whatever it was, it was a huge number. And for half that value, you could have a can of cider. And it's like, again, it's going, if you're measuring your points for that day and you have the avocado, you failed. But if you had the can of cider with zero nutritional value, sugar, it was within the point system. So well done, which again, I know they wouldn't say that, but on the highest level, this all or nothing, you're either on this or you're off it. There's no room for, anything in between. It's no wonder we just get deeper and deeper into disordered eating.
But then we're lifelong customers.
Well, exactly.
It's a brilliant business plan.
Well, exactly.
I would be back at that church, lining up.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a cold January.
Yeah. Jenny's back. Yeah. It's
3 stones heavier, but
yeah. And that's your positive step, because you're going back again, even though it hasn't worked the last 6 times. This is the time it's going to work for you.
And there's people that are willing to fight you. I don't care. What can they do to me? Slimmer World works. Well, how many times did you do Slimmer World?
Exactly.
And now when I see people on social media saying, I've gone back to Slimming World for accountability or whatever it may be, you're like, oh my goodness. It didn't work for you. You resorted to having to get your stomach basically half cut out.
Yeah.
And now you're going back to it's abusive relationship.
Yeah. It's
basically coercive control.
Yeah, it is. It's mad. It is mad. And I am still dealing with the repercussions of that. I still, when I'm making something, if I go to put a bit of olive oil in the pan, I'm like, oh my goodness, check me out being naughty, and it's just madness, it's like party time. I'm not using the 1-calorie spray, it is. But again, the freedom that comes from dropping that is massive. Again, amazing. I have family members following slimming groups at the minute, and I'm like, do you want to come round for a barbecue? Just FYI, there's going to be olive oil, there's going to be coleslaw, there's not going to be any mushroom baps, there'll be bread, and it just feels lovely after a lifetime of doing all that stupid restriction and still gaining weight constantly.
Was it the O brand? What was that thing that everybody used to make bread out of?
Oh,
the oat. Oh God!
I can't remember. Yeah.
I think everybody would know.
Bread out of like crushed up cereal and
which Bix.
Goodness. Yes, and cheesecakes with like. Oh my word, honestly, it's again, one of my favorite things about right now is, I watch what I eat. I can't say I don't. If I didn't, I wouldn't lose weight, and my weight loss is so slow. But I'm like, I'm having the full fat mayonnaise, I prefer it, I'll have less of it. If I want and it is a bite these days. If I want a bite of something full fat, I have it. It's a lovely place to be.
It certainly is. And if you really looked into it, actually the full fat yogurt is so much better than I used to eat mulala like it was going out of fashion. No wonder it was full of sweetener. It just spiked me, and then it's 0 cents, and then they made it into. I was devastated when it became 5 cents, 0.5 or something.
0. Yeah, well, I was eating like 6 of them a day. I used to buy them in the shop, and I'd come home with 18 6-packs of them. Like no room in the fridge for anything else. Just madness, and that's me now. I eat full fat Greek yogurt. I take 3 tablespoons, I put a little bit of granola on it, and I really enjoy it. I wouldn't dream of having it 4 times in a day. I just have what I want and just a measured portion of it. But as I say again, if anybody listens to this and doesn't understand, that mindset, I mean, it's a revelation to me. I still do that stuff and go, look at me managing full fat products. It's just, it is. It's, and I look forward to the day that I don't, I know nobody cares, but it's like I still feel like telling people this is full fat. It's mad.
It's outrageous. It's not. Yeah. The sprays. It's just, the amount of pans people must ruin because of this.
I know. I ruined how many ever? I don't even know. And there's, I know.
Jenny, we could talk about this all day and all night probably, to be honest. And I just reminisce about it feels like another life ago, it feels so distant to me. But as soon as I start to think, as soon as I start to have a conversation, it all comes back to me because it was part of my life for so long. I was so consumed by, and I wouldn't just stick to one. Like, this January I'll join Stewart. Next January I will join, Weight Watchers. Like something had changed. So Jenny, I'm going to let you go. We'll definitely come back for another episode and we can have another chat about all this. But what can we find on where can we find you? Where are you on? We said about your YouTube. Give us some of your details. Where can we find you? And Yeah.
Super. So it's very similar to your podcast name, which we have commented on before. I think we were meant to meet. So my YouTube channel is Overcoming an Obese Mindset 7813. I'm on Instagram, Overcoming an Obese Mindset, and I'm on TikTok as well. Same name, Overcoming an Obese Mindset.
Amazing. And I'll put all the links below the episode. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. I think, anybody listening would have got loads out of it. And I definitely recommend that everybody checks out your YouTube channel because it's got so many, it's really resourceful. So find it, and even if we just introduce you to it, we think we'll both be really happy with it. The fact that we give you that bit of, just that little bit of, there's something else out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep you away from the church.
Yeah. That's the mission.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate you for being here with me. I hope you got some value from this episode. If so, please give me a review. It will make me super happy and support others from our community to find the podcast. Share it with your Barry bestie. Connect with me on Instagram at Gastric Mindset. It'll be wonderful to hear from you.